Hey there everybody, this is Ron LeGrand and welcome to my series of videos on commercial property. I've got a lot to cover on these series of videos and I'm going to go over those with you here in just a second and tell you what you're in for. And I will tell you that you should get these videos every 2 to 3 days. We'll send you out a link and then you can punch the link and play the video. I don't know how long they're going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you what I need to tell you, and whatever time it takes, and then of course you can stop and start them as you see fit. But I don't want to rush them. I'm going to try to get as much as I can in. There's no cost for these videos, as you well know, and we made a point to make sure that only those people that were interested received the invitation to get. Well, a lot of people received it, but those who are interested signed up, and those who didn't, and that's okay. So we had I'm telling you, I was really shocked with the response that we had from the people that had interest in commercial property. So let me go through what we're going to cover. On this first lesson, we're going to talk about why commercial properties and what kind of commercial properties that I'm talking about. And then on lesson 2, we'll talk about what I look for in commercial properties. In other words, what aspects would I be interested in collecting in order to pre-screen them quickly. You will also see me using math to determine whether I have interest in the property or not, because the truth is that all properties come back to math. In fact, all businesses come back to math. So the first thing that I want to start with is the math. If the math doesn't work, there's nothing else going to make it work. Again, that applies to every business of any kind. So lesson 2 is going to be what I look for. I'll go through different types of property on that lesson and show you the easy identifiers to determine whether it's a supposed prospect or a waste of time, just like we do with single-family houses. On lesson 3, 4, and 5, I'm going to go through 6 ways to buy commercial property with none of your own money. Now I've got 14 of these ways, so I'm going to cover my best 6, or my favorite 6, in those series of lessons, and you'll see some properties that I have purchased without using my money, and how and why. In fact, we're also going to discuss the exit strategies on each one of those situations as we get to them. And okay, I'm buying this property, not using my money, now what? What's my plan to get out of it? Which is kind of important. We need to know our exit before we go in our entrance. On lesson 6, we're going to talk about how to determine the future value of an income generating property before we ever even make an offer on it. And fortunately, that's easy to do with commercial properties because it's all going to come back to math again. So if we can get our hands around the math, we can determine where we will be when we fix what's broke and know whether we have any interest in getting in and know how to structure it so that we can get the money to fix what's broke if we intend to actually buy the property, and know that what we're going to get when we get out of it. Got to know the math going in or you don't want to get in. In lesson 7, we're going to talk about how to find good deals. From your desk, in fact, where to locate them using the computer, and how to go through and pre-screen them while you're doing that and pick out the pearls, just kind of like we do with single-family houses. On lesson 8, we're going to talk about where to get the money, financing them, how to structure the deal so that we know we can get the money, and also we're going to talk about, in lesson 9, exit strategies. That's the one where I'm going to go over, okay, how many ways do we have to make money on these commercial properties? I really don't have any interest in buying a property and building a high-rise on it. How do I get paid if I'm not one of those big Donald Trump developers, or I don't want to develop this land out, or whatever the case may be? Along the way, I'm actually going to interview 3 experts that I have come to my live training event. One of those is going to be Dave Lindell. He's going to be the apartment king. And in fact, here's a guy that's got over 7,200 apartments right now, and when I met him a few years ago as one of my students beginning in single-family houses, he was a landscaper. What an amazing leap he's made. Also going to meet Scott Myers. He is the self-storage king. One of my favorite types of commercial property is self-storage, and Scott's going to show you why. Now these are going to be audio lessons. Dave and Scott are going to be interviewed by audio, and the third one is going to be Jack Bosch. Jack has sold over 7,000 pieces of land. He's going to show you a whole thing. I think he invented it, how he buys and sells land without ever going near it or touching it, and makes a lot of money, and has been doing it for several years now and discovered it by accident. 2 out of 3 of these guys, incidentally, were my students, and houses, and now they've gone on to create big old commercial empires. And I thought it would be great if we interviewed them as part of this ongoing series. Now, I'm open to your comments along the way, and if you want me to insert a lesson and I get enough interest about it along the way, I may choose to do that. So right now I have 9 lessons scheduled plus 3 more phone interviews, but that could be expanded based on your request. So let's get started today with the advantages and disadvantages of commercial property, so you can get a kind of a feel for why we want to do this. I guess there are several good reasons why. The first one is great big profits. The thing about commercial property is that you can make literally I don't know what the right words are, but a retirement check, a huge check, a 6, 7, and possibly even 8-figure check out of one deal if you want to carry it through. Obviously, you do not have that luxury with single-family houses. So before I go any further, let me answer this question that I get constantly. Why would I want to do commercial? I'm doing single-family. How can I stop single-family to do commercial? And the answer is, I don't want anybody walking away from single-family houses to do commercial. You don't ever abandon your cash flow. And I look at it this simply. Single-family houses is my cash flow. I'm also building wealth there. Commercial is my real big wealth, my big hits, and ultimately cash flow as well as some checks along the way. You're going to find your checks coming a lot faster in single-family than you do in commercial. And single-family is where everybody ought to start. Commercial is where they ought to play around because it doesn't take much time, and do a deal or two while they're doing single family. So again, do not abandon single family houses to go to commercial. Keep that cash flow coming in. However, the good news is it doesn't take much time to do a commercial deal, and I'm going to show you that throughout this training. So you just simply do it while you're doing your single family house business. You cannot get in your car and drive 5 miles without running across more commercial deals than I can count on both hands here when you're able to spot them. When you're trained on what you're looking for and why, you see opportunities that nobody else sees. Every single commercial property that I bought, everybody else had a chance to buy it before I bought it, and they didn't, because they didn't see the upside. Well, we're going to talk about the upsides as we go through here. So you make a lot more money on a commercial deal than you'll make on a single-family house deal. Also, if you ever do sign on a debt to buy commercial property, a lot of the commercial property types that are out there right now will let you get non-recourse money, which is money you don't personally guarantee. Now, if I take a notion, I'm going to tell you some really sad stories about my situation in the last 5, 6 years. And it all comes from personally guaranteeing huge loans on commercial property, millions and millions of dollars worth. And it has not worked out well. So I'm going to suggest that you do not personally guarantee large commercial loans. And in fact, I would have wished I would have listened to me and actually done what I teach. And I wouldn't have done the same. Less competition. You're going to have a lot less competition on commercial projects than you have in the single-family house projects by far, because there aren't that many people out there looking at commercial. There's a lot of people looking at single-family. On the other hand, there's a whole lot more single families than there are commercial. So I guess it's all a wash. In commercial, I can create my own value. I'll show you that. I can make the property worth more with some simple maneuvers. In residential, the only way I can make the property worth more is to wait and hope it goes up in value, and or to renovate it. In commercial, we've got ways to literally double or triple the value of the property without touching the property. So I'll make sure I cover that for you. You are going to have a lot of higher prestige, and you're going to be hanging around people with money when you deal in commercial. And I can tell you, if you go take a look at the wealthiest people in the country, the ones with the big money are the ones who have commercial property. Can you get wealthy with single family? You bet. A lot of people have done it. A lot of my students have done it. Can you get super wealthy with commercial? The answer is yes. Millions. You won't make millions on a house. It takes a lot of houses to make millions. You could make millions on one single commercial project, and it can. And we also can set you up so that you can keep getting revenue out of these things forever. All right. The disadvantages. Yeah, there are some. You will find it tougher to break into commercial than you do single family. There is more due diligence required with commercial than single family, and it does cost money to do the due diligence with commercial. And I'm not going to kid you, if you're going to do commercial properties, you're going to have some money to get the due diligence done, because you never want to buy a property without doing it. And that money is at risk because that due diligence might not work out the way you like it. Not really true with single family houses. You're going to do fewer deals, which actually I would think that's an advantage, not a disadvantage, because they're going to be much larger deals. And there are going to be bigger deposits required when you do commercial properties, because let's face it, you're not going to put up a $10 deposit to buy a $1 million property. You're probably going to be putting up deposits in the thousands more than in the hundreds like you do with single family houses. So, is it for everyone? No. But is it for anyone who wants to expand their horizons, grow their cash flow, and grow their financial statement with net worth by getting into commercial? And again, I'll show you ways that you can get out along the way. There's several extra strategies where you can just get paid and go, or if you want to stay in, that's something that I would strongly encourage you to do as well, because I am not an advocate of flipping income producing properties if possible. Remember, we buy houses to make money. I'm buying commercial property. Yes, we can flip it. Yes, we can make money. But it would be a lot better if I could talk you into not selling that apartment complex or that self-storage unit or that office building or whatever it is that we're going to buy that produces income, because that very well may also provide your retirement for yourself and your next generation. All right, the types of commercial property that we're talking about. You should see a list on your screen right now, and I'm more of a generalist than a specialist. And look, I can make you a case for both sides. Some people specialize in one type of commercial property, and that's pretty much all they do. I could make you a strong case that that's what you should do, because you get better at it, you understand the business, you create contacts, and just a lot of reasons why you could stay narrowly focused. I am a generalist. I like dealing with all kinds of commercial property. The truth is, analyzing them is pretty much the same if you change the math formulas. Income is income, tenants are tenants, and there's a need for all of these kinds of commercial property that's on the list in front of you. I like doing the different things. I do sacrifice some of the things that you will get being a specialist, but in my case I like the variety, and when you see me structure these deals, you're going to see that I try to do them as risk-free as possible, so that helps as well. On your list you'll see apartments. I'm going to interview an apartment specialist. You're going to learn how to analyze apartments, how to determine what they're worth before you ever make an offer. Same with self-storage, and the same with office buildings, both large and small. I'm going to try to keep these lessons down to small commercial property, but I will tell you that what we are going to learn here applies to small or large. However, I've been around long enough to know that our listeners here are more interested in numbers that they can get their head around, so I'll try not to talk about any 20, 30, 40, 50 million dollar deals, and we'll keep it down into the smaller stuff for now. Mobile home parks. I love mobile home parks. I hate mobile homes. I just love mobile home parks. So we ought to talk about that. Land is what I've done a lot of in the last 5 years, and it's also what's caused me to take the biggest hit, because it is the part of commercial property that has taken the biggest hit. I've got projects that we developed and never could get built out because the depression hit in 2008, and we got land that is worth a fraction of what it was when we bought it, and it is in the marketplace today where the bottom feeders are coming and scooping it up. Is there a need for you to learn about land? Yes, and I'm going to show you what I've done wrong as well as I've done right along the way, so then when you get, if you want to go down that path, then you'll know what to look out for. Warehouses, all kinds of warehouses, office warehouses, warehouses that don't have offices in them. Big need for those. However, there's also a glut of those, as there is most of the other properties that I've discussed here as well. So you have to look at them with a real scrutinous eye to make sure that you understand what your exit is and how to buy them without ever coming out of pocket and paying any money to own these properties. And then there's special use properties like restaurants, for example, or single-use buildings just sitting around that if you're out here looking for them and you structure the offers on them so that you don't have to keep writing checks, you can take some of these closed up restaurants and other types of properties out here, buy them really, really cheap right now, and turn them around and create real value out of them. So I do want to get into that. That's something that I do want you to take a look at. Okay, well that's pretty much it for this lesson. My next lesson is going to be on what I look for and why, and we're going to discuss using math to pre-screen them out. And that'll do it for now. So stay tuned. Now the only way that you're going to be able to get these lessons is if you open the email we send you, and it'll be identified as a commercial property lesson 1, commercial property lesson 2, and so forth. So make sure you open that one. Then you'll find the link in there, and you have to open that link to get to the next video. So we're well on our way, and I'll see you on lesson 2.